In many ways, I have what seems like an ordinary life. I got married, I have 3 wonderful kids, a few grandchildren, I have good friends. All in all, this life has been pretty great. Then there's a part of me that has lived a different life, a secret life. This secret life is more real to me than anything else I have lived. Language is way too limiting to describe the experiences I've had. It's like trying to explain what the Grand Canyon looks like. The view is so mind-boggling, so you wind up saying, well, it's a great big hole. How can you explain sights that are so profound? But I'm going to try to attempt to bring you into the world I've seen, that I've kept hidden, a world that might not make sense to you, that might raise more questions than answers. My name is Joyce Libutti, and I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. But I had most of my experiences long before I even lived here, when I was still living in New York. Even as a young child, I felt that perhaps I was wired a little differently from my friends, and especially from my family. Looking back at my 3-year-old self, I have a hazy memory of being taken to an unusual place. My sense is that it was a ship, but I really don't know for sure where it was. There were many other children there. We were frightened and crying. I wanted so much to go home, but I couldn't. I was led into a chamber. I felt powerless. I have no recollection of what actually went on in that chamber, but I do know that something profound happened. I know my consciousness was changed. From that time on, my life was different. I began to have strange sensations, intuitive feelings, premonitions. It was uncanny. So many of them were accurate. But when I reached my early 40s, these situations escalated to a completely new level. I actually started seeing things. One day, I was with a friend. We were visiting my cousin out in Long Island. Suddenly, I got the feeling that we needed to leave, and I thought it was a little rude, so I made an excuse up, but I knew we had to leave. So I just pulled my friend out, got into the car, got on the highway, on the Southern State Parkway. It was about 4:15, and I looked up, and there was a ship. I was communicating with the ship and saying, is this my imagination, or are you slowing down and are you speeding up? And it was slowing down and speeding up, and it was just playful. And I was looking in other cars and saying, why don't you look up and see that? And no one was. And my friend said, do you see what I see? And I said, absolutely, who can miss that? And she immediately took out her rosaries. She was very Catholic. And she was frightened. I was thrilled. So we kept driving, and as we were making the turns in the highway, I lost sight of that particular one, and we looked up further, and we saw 2. There was a mothership and a baby ship underneath it, and that just stayed there. They stayed still, they hovered, they never moved, until we were well out of sight. I'm the only person I know that has never seen any of those films. No, nope, no, no. Yes, I have seen that one. If I hadn't had these experiences, I would feel the way other people do. I don't know if I'd believe it. At one time, I was on a ship. I don't know how I got there. And there were 12 of us lined up. And I can remember peeking down and looking, trying to see the faces of the other 11. And they were, you know, on television, sometimes you see when they don't want you to see the face and they blank it out. That's how they all were. 11 blank faces and me. And I'm just thinking, this is so weird. So I was given a tour, and then I was sent back. And I can't tell you specifics, I just remember snippets. A lot of these visual experiences happened around the late 80s, early 90s, and then they just stopped. Another one was in about 1990 or 89. And I was feeling a little bit sad about one of my children. I have 3 children, and one of them who was in just a little bit of trouble. And I remember I wasn't particularly meditating or in doing anything except getting dressed to go to a party. My then husband was away for the weekend, and I was actually sitting at the edge of my bed putting on pantyhose. And I saw that it had been raining, and I saw that the sun was coming out. The sunlight was coming through the blinds, and there appeared a beautiful, beautiful black eye, just one eye, like a liquid, huge black eye. And I just sat there, and then another one appeared, and then a beautiful, very slim, willowy body, no bone structure, just arms and a thin body, and I got the feeling it was a female. But there was no mouth or nose that I can remember. And then the rest of the body just, it hung sort of very high in the room and just surrounded me with huge amount of love. And I said psychically, "Who are you?" And she said, "I'm an aspect of you." And I said, "Well, why are you here?" And she said, "We're here to comfort and assist." And immediately, I felt I was healed. Well, just look around. The question is more like, where don't we need help? Right now, I share the feelings of many people that we may be on the wrong track to peace, because I don't believe that peace can ever be attained through killing. It's just not going to happen. It never has, and it never will. So perhaps we can find another way of dealing with things. This is why extraterrestrials are here. They're here to help us understand that. They would like to be a lot more visible and a lot more present. However, they don't want to be shot down, talked about the way they have been. There's a certain limit to what they will do too, and they are graciously waiting for us to be able to accept them. There are different ways of attaining peace, and perhaps we should look at a different way of doing things. That's why they're here. Yes, one night they reached my husband through me. I was sleeping, and suddenly I was looking down over planets. I was looking down over planets, and I thought, wow, this is incredible. Then I was looking for my body, and I had none. There was no body. And I just thought, well, this is so totally freeing. So I then asked well, how do I get from here to there? I want to go from here to there. And it just thought, sound. And I moved with that, but I made a sound. And with that, my husband woke me up because he thought I was having a nightmare. And I thought, oh, God, that's too bad. Well, I said to him then, anyway, it's okay, I'm fine, but I'm going back to sleep. Just hold my hand. And as we held hands, something went on, the transfer went on, and I had no more experience, but in the morning he woke up and said, wow, after you had your nightmare, I had the most incredible journey. I was flying all over the place, off mountaintops, down to rivers, off cliffs. He said it was incredible. God, what a trip. They're definitely not dreams. I have regular dreams too, but these experiences are much more vivid and real and very colorful. For example, another time, I remember I woke up in the middle of the night. I saw beside my bed a tall being turning away. He was wearing a houndstooth jacket, jeans, and boots. When he walked away, he went straight through the wall and left. And then I thought, so that's how they do it. I think some of them wear clothes that are familiar to us so we don't get scared and have a nervous breakdown. But they are shapeshifters and they can change their appearance as they like. Once, when I was just waking up, I witnessed them as a parade of musical instruments passing my bed in a procession. Each one of them greeted me, passed through the wall, and left. I just didn't know what to make out of them. They were just very joyful, and I just thought, well, that's pretty cool. That's all I thought about it. And then it faded, and I saw them a few other times in the hallway in that same house in New York, and they would just be sort of moving around in a dark hallway where you could really see them against the background. I said to my then husband, look, what are all those things in the hallway out there? And he looked out and he didn't see them, and as soon as he said, nothing's there, I couldn't see them. They were gone. In 1990 or 91, I was either awake or asleep, I'm not sure. All I know is that I was watching myself in the corner of the room being tossed around. There was fires breaking out all over. There were bricks falling. There were houses collapsing. There were rooftops falling off. And I'm pinching myself because I'm here and I'm watching it myself there as an Iranian. And I didn't really know what else to do. So I just sat there and watched it, and then it ended and I went back to sleep. And in the morning, I told my husband about it. And I explained this because it was really a huge experience. And he didn't comment on it. He just was a runner and he was getting ready to go out and run, and he turned on the television for the weather. And there was a special bulletin on that there was a horrendous earthquake in Iran and that tens of thousands of people were killed. And he said to me, well, there it is, there you were. And then he turned around and ran out. And so I said, yeah, that's exactly where I was. That's where I was. Well, I didn't share most of the experiences with my family and friends. The few times that I tried to, it didn't go over too well. It made me feel uncomfortable and embarrassed and humiliated. So I just kind of kept them to myself. Actually, no. I have never really felt that I was crazy, but I think maybe I did drive other people crazy. Once I woke up and I saw a long, bright, wide red light. There was also a very bright silver, elongated strip. I could see through the wall of my bedroom, through the trees outside, through other dimensions. All this time, I knew somehow that if I moved, it would all disappear. I got that it was a ship, that it had overlaid my house and property, and that I was in that ship, and therefore I had the ability to see through everything as they do. When I'd had enough, I decided to get up, and indeed, it all disappeared. Another very weird experience that happened was in Block Island, where I was on vacation with my son Jared and his wife Michelle. I took a picture of them, and Michelle said, "Come and stand in my spot, and I'll take a picture of you guys." And look what came out of it. I was going through a divorce, and I was feeling sad. And I suddenly I noticed that there was a presence in the room. And it was a child who would beam in. And she talked to me psychically. She looked like about a 2-year-old little girl, a beautiful little girl. And she said, "You're going to be my grandmother. I'm waiting for your daughter to find her husband, her mate, and then I will come back. I will be reborn." And I said, "Well, my daughter's not married. There's no prospect. Are you going to wait around?" And she said, "There's no time here. Of course I will." And she is my present-day granddaughter, Julia. And Julia's 3 now. And I used to see that little child as if she was 2 or 3 years old. And she's identical to the hair, the curly blonde hair. And she would come and just drop in, literally drop in. And so we were in close touch for a very long time before she was born. I wish I could tell you. I just don't know. I've been trying to figure this out my whole life. I'm just being the reporter. I'm telling you honestly what I've seen. I can't explain it, but I do accept it. One evening, when I was sleeping, I had a dream. It felt like a dream. And there was myself out in space somewhere, waving goodbye to my family. Now, my family was a group of ET-looking beings, and I was leaving. I was leaving them to go back to my job, which was being the housewife and the mother in New York. And I came back into my body with and I could still see the group of ET beings. And it was the most incredible loving feeling that one would have, knowing that that family is mine, as well as this human family that I love very, very much. Well, you see, I understand multiple lives, and for me to To explain it any other way, I'll just have to go way out and say, this is what I was told a long time ago, and it's simple, but I'm going to repeat it because it fits. Life is like this. This is like a TV. We're tuned into channel 2, and I'm talking to you on channel 2 now. And this is this body and this vehicle, whatever you want to call it. But there's channel 4, 5, 7, 11, HBO, cable. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on simultaneously. All we have to do is change the channel. So I can switch myself, my channels, into being these other beings. But I want to stay on this planet, so I put those other aspects of myself, which there are many, it's not just that extraterrestrial being, I put that on hold most of the time.